Welcome to Politics and Beyond, a non-point the podcast election series that delves into the heart of politics. I'm excited to bring you insightful conversations with public officials and personalities. Together, we'll explore their opinions, analysis, plans, and aspirations for a better Philippines to empower the Filipino electorate for the upcoming national and local elections. So join me as we navigate through this crucial discussion right here on Politics and Beyond. For this episode, we have a very special guest. Kanya pong iniaalay ang kanyang oras, sarili at karunungan para sa sambayan ng Pilipino ngayong halalan 2025 bilang isa sa mga kinatawan ng ML Party List. Everyone, please help me welcome former Senator Attorney Laila De Lima. Senator, thank you for saying yes to this conversation and welcome po dito sa Politics and Beyond.
Good morning, friends, and good morning to your listeners and viewers. And I'm so happy, I feel privileged na inimbita mo ako dito sa ating Skype interview.
And again,
Thank you.
salamat
po
for
your podcast.
yes,
It's your podcast, right? Yes.
Salamat po for
Okay.
fishing us in your busy schedule dahil alam ko iba po ang labanan pag election season. And bilang panimula po sa pag-uusap na ito, can you, alam ko marami na, no, paulit-ulit, pero gusto lang po namin malaman. Just very briefly, can you tell us your turning point na nag-decide kayo na bumalik ulit because sa politics, because when you were first released, no, after 7 years in prison, although hindi nyo naman talaga, you didn't really close your doors in coming back to politics, but I feel that you have that conviction na no politics muna for 2025. What was really the turning point? I mean, sinong nagkumbinse kay Senator Laila De Lima? Who contacts who? And paano po kayo talaga, dahil ito, no, tatlo kayo dito, paano kayo umabot sa point na I have to go back?
Yeah, okay. So thank you very much for that question because as you said, talagang wala naman po akong kaplano-plano to run for any elective post this 2025 elections. So when I was released from my almost 7 years of unjust detention last November 2023, I just wanted to go back to my private law practice. I used to be an election law practitioner. I just wanted to go back to teaching in law schools. Pero nangyari po yung isang important development sa party namin. I'm part of the Liberal Party. Now, there is this multi-sectoral arm or group na kasapi ng Liberal Party since 2012 or 2013, nung panahon pa actually ni President Noy. They Liberal Party put up this multi-sectoral group. Pero just a loose organization, just a loose group with membership from several sectors.
Okay.
Pero it was only last year na nag-accredit po siya bilang party list by the COMELEC. So it's the first time, although they tried, ML tried, for the 2022 elections, they filed in 2021 a petition for accreditation as party list. Pero it was denied or dismissed by the COMELEC. Then for purposes of the 2025 elections, nag-file uli last December 2023, the ML for accreditation. And fortunately, the COMELEC granted it last July 2024. Lumabas yung resolution noong July 2024. So nung lumabas na nga yung resolution na yun, Franz, some of my colleagues in the LP, particularly our former president, LP president, and who recently passed, our LP president, Congressman Edsel Lacman. He was the president, and some others like Congressman Teddy Bronner Bagilat, and then Congressman Erin Tanyada, and former Congressman Kit Belmonte. Ay sila po, they talked to me and urged me, encouraged me to join the electoral race for 2025 as party list representative, as nominee number one of this ML party list. And of course, I did a lot of thinking about that, reflection. I did a lot of consultations with my family, friends, and allies. And I realized that why not? Sabi ko, because I was attracted to the idea that this time around, we will be focusing on the marginalized sectors because that is what a party list is all about.
Yes.
Representation, genuine representation of marginalized sectors. So nung nakita ko nga po yung, the vision, the principles behind the creation of the ML as a multi-sectoral organization, and when I saw that indeed it is multi-sectoral, sabi ko, I think it would be easier for me now to advocate for my core ideals, to
Kasi mas
to pursue
focus, diba?
my core advocacy. Mas focus.
Mas
Kasi
focus.
kung tutuusin natin yung ideals for human rights, yung ideals for justice, yung ideals for social justice, these are really my core advocacies. Ay talagang mas kailangan nito nung mga nasa laylayan, the marginalized sectors.
Pero I just want to
yes.
Parang personally, wala ba kayong like takot perhaps kasi given you just released, no, given the battle you went through from the past administration. I mean, although hindi naman talaga directly yung inyong ito kasi kumbaga gagawa kayo ng batas, no? Hindi directly yung but parang gusto ko lang tanungin kung may pagdadalawang isip, I mean the safety na baka ibang mga tao na naman yung makabangga ninyo at ulitin ulit yung ginawa nung past administration sa administration ito dahil alam natin malakas po ang will ni Senator Laila De Lima to really fight. And I mean, paano nyo tinitimbang ang mga yung mga ganitong scenario sa administrasyong Marcos?
Okay. My mind. Ganun na naman ang tirahin. I'll be subjected again to lots of character assassination. And in fact, nangyayari na nga yan, Franz, because mukhang nabuhay na naman yung mga bashers ko. Yung mga trolls, andyan na naman sila. Buhay na naman sila. But as you said, I had to weigh things out. And mas naging superior sa akin yung belief na I think mas meron din ako talagang magagawa for our country and especially for the marginalized sectors because there's a lot really to fix in our systems, including the political system, including the electoral system, and then good governance in general. Now, I was thinking, and ito rin yung mga sinasabi sa akin ng mga kaibigan ng mga kinonsulta ko, sabi nila, Laila, we are for that because, alam mo na, if you want to really push for reforms, mas mahihirapan ka kasi if you're working from the outside rather than from within. You can really fight for what you believe in, and you can really push for your advocacies. You can really push for your reform agenda while within. Because first of all, magkakaroon na ng platform. If you're an elected official, may platform ka. Unlike when you're just an ordinary citizen, diba? So naisip ko yon, oo nga naman. And there's no difference also between being a member of the House of Representatives or a member of the Senate. Because some people now are asking me, bakit ho hindi Senate? Bakit ho party list? Bakit ho House of Representatives? So I would always tell them, alam niyo po, para sa akin, there's no difference between House of Representatives and Senate. Kasi nasa sayo na yan. It's up to you. Yung performance mo.
Okay.
It's up to you kung paano mo talaga iproproject yung sarili mo and how you will participate. Because if you just do your job and perform well, then it doesn't matter whether you're a senator or a party list representatives. So yun po ang aking mga naisip. Na-factor in ko na yan, Franz, yung mga negative side of it. No? Yung ganyan, I'll again be bearing all these things, yung mga ano nila sa akin, na nandyan na naman sila, kung ano na naman ang mga ipupokpok nila sa akin ng mga issues. But it's always been my attitude, Franz, even if I was kapag nakakarating sa akin yung mga ganyan, ma'am, ito, binabash na naman kayo because I didn't have cell phone there. I didn't have any access to internet. I didn't have internet. Yes, internet and TV. So yung staff ko lang ang nagpapadala ng mga samples, ng mga bashing sa akin. But it came to a point na sabi ko sa kanila, can you stop sending me those things na? These are trash. So bakit ko
Mm.
papansinin yan? Bakit ko papatulan yan? Nakakasira lang ng ulo, ay ng mood. So until now, that's my attitude. I just ignore them. You don't engage with them. Kasi you know how it is with trolls. Na
Yeah.
the more you engage with them, the more nagaganahan sila. So why give them that pleasure? So ganun na lang ang attitude ko, France. But I do believe that looking back and now that I'm in the middle of campaigning, now that I've been meeting a lot of people, I've been speaking to a lot of events, mga forum, etc. I can say that I made the right decision,
Okay.
France.
Okay. You make mention about the core values of mamamayang liberal and your the projects that you're going to push through if given the chance to have this successfully, no? If you have details or plano, can you tell us your kumbaga your pet peeves kung sakali pong kayo'y successful na mahalal sa posisyong ito, no? For example, you make mention about human rights and good governance in general. What are the things that you're going to push through? What are the things that you're going to, you know, to to do when elected? I mean,
Okay. In general, without first being sector specific,
okay.
kasi as I said,
Yes, yes.
multi-sectoral kami. And actually, meron na po kaming legislative agenda
Okay,
and
okay.
platform for all of these sectors that we represent. Women, youth, farmers, fisher folks, workers, uh, urban poor, LGBTQIA+, indigenous peoples, PWDs, senior citizens. Those are the sectors that we represent. And after several sessions of brainstorming, kami po sa ML team we already came up with a legislative agenda. In other words, for each of these sectors, meron na kaming mga priority legislation.
Okay.
Now, if I can cite examples a little later. But
Okay.
if you ask me about in general, kasi nga France, di ba? All of these sectors, kung tutuusin, ay may distinct attributes or characteristics, may distinct aspirations, distinct challenges in their respective sectors. Pero there is one ideal or philosophy that tie them together, and that is the social justice,
Okay.
katarungang panlipunan. And when we say social justice, those who have less in life must have more in law. So that's precisely what we intend to do. Although we are not going to craft so many laws, we are just we will be crafting konti lang, one to three, maximum of three siguro pieces of legislation for each of these sectors. Yung iba in general na, about national situation, etc. Like for example, since I'm a human rights advocate, I'm going to refile some of the human rights related bills that I filed when I was a senator, but remained untouched.
Okay.
I can file it again kung manalo po, kung palarin po tayo sa party list. I can refile the Human Rights Defenders Bill. I can refile my anti-EJK bill. I can also refile my Refugees and Stateless Persons Protection Bill. And I can refile a couple of mga prison reform bills. I have those. I can refile that. Now, in terms of yung in general na social justice, our team, the ML team, is thinking of filing. There is this people's participation and empowerment bill.
Okay.
Actually, one of those na nag-file ng ganyang bill is VP Lenny, Lenny Robredo, when she was still a member of House of Representatives. She used to be a congresswoman, Biba France. So she filed that, but nothing happened to that bill. So we are reviewing that bill in the hope that we can refile it, we can adopt it, or we can file it with certain update revisions, etc. So this People's Participation and Empowerment Bill. And that would affect everyone. That would affect all of these marginalized sectors, because it would seek to institutionalize yung people's participation sa mga crafting ng mga sa municipal level pa lang, sa city level pa lang. Yung mga panukalang batas din nila at that level na meron na mga certain LGUs na merong ganyan. Participation from the private sector, participations from various sectors. Pero hindi lahat. So, gusto namin ma-institutionalize yung mechanism na yan para nabibigyan ng boses at the LGU level yung iba't ibang mga sektor bago nagpapasa kung mga ano-anong ordinance ang mga LGUs. So, isa po yan. And then for the gender, for the sector specific, I can cite a few examples.
Yes.
Anyway, we still have time, France, di ba? But I cannot, of course, cite all of them. Uubusan po tayo ng oras. For example, yung mga magsasaka, yung farmers. Di ba ang problema palagi sa farmers? Napaka-low ng kanilang, high yung kanilang production costs, pero low ang kanilang mga kita. So isa sa mga naisip namin na paraan is that to push for this minimum suggested buying price for palay, which must be equal to at least 1/2 of the maximum suggested retail price of rice. Kasi sa ganyan pong paraan, matataasan ng kita yung production na cost. Yun kasi ang kailangan tinitipid masyado sa pagbili ng palay. Although hindi nila kino-consider na mataas din yung production cost. And then ang talagang mga nagkakaroon ng kita ay yung mga middlemen. Kasi pag inaano na, binebenta na, mataas na yung presyo. Pero ba yung buying doon sa farmers? So dapat meron talagang minimum suggested buying price for palay, and then which is one half of the maximum suggested retail price of rice. And then ipapa-review rin namin po yung rice tarification law. We now have the rice tarification law, yung ino-open up sa mga rice importers. Correct? Now, para daw mapababa yung presyo ng rice. Ang problema, kahit nga ganun ang ginagawa ng gobyerno, nag-import tayo ng bigas, ay hindi naman bumababa yung presyo. And then, nakakasama pa sa mga farmers dahil kompetensya pa nila yung mga importers. So, lalong nawawalan sila ng kita. So, we will push for a comprehensive, serious review of the rice tarification bill. Those are among the examples. Doon naman po tayo sa fisher folk. We are going to push for the Magna Carta for fisher folks, small fisher folks. Why? There is this problem brought about by a recent Supreme Court decision na dinideclare as unconstitutional yung isang provision ng Fisheries Code of 1998. Matagal na yung Fisheries Code na yan. Pero in a recent decision, the Supreme Court, sinabi nila na yung isang provision there na which limits the use of the 15-kilometer municipal waters do sa mga maliliit na mga mangingisda was declared unconstitutional. So what is the consequence of that? It's opening it, the 15-kilometer municipal waters, sa commercial fishing. So hindi yan maganda sa mga small fisher folk. They cannot possibly compete with the commercial fishers. Sa vessel pa lang, advantage na yung mga commercial fishers. So it will destroy the livelihood of the fisher folks. But there is a pending motion for reconsideration sa Supreme Court. So I hope the Supreme Court grants that. So ang balak namin, France, is to push for a Magna Carta for small fisher folk. Para ilalagay namin yan, yung provision na yan, na dapat yung 15-kilometer municipal waters sa small fisher folk na yan. And then we will add other provisions for the welfare, to promote the welfare of the fisher folks, small fisher folks. Examples lang yun, France.
Okay. Last na lang, if you have, you've seen how justice works when you were in prison. Napakatagal, slow-moving. What do you have in mind na pwede nating i-tweak or baguhin when it comes to the justice system, particularly sa pag-dispense ng speedy trial, no? With our kayong nasubukan po ni ma'am, yung kaso niya po ay example ng napakatagal na gulong ng hustisya dito sa ating bansa. What do you have in mind po? Very briefly lang po.
Okay. Actually, meron na yung Supreme Court ano for that, administrative circular na yung Speedy Trial Act. Kaya lang marami namang hindi sumusunod. Ang tungkol sa justice system reforms, para sa akin pinaka-crucial, hindi na kailangan ng batas dyan eh. Kasi ang pinaka-crucial dyan is that appointing the right people in the judiciary. If you appoint the right men and women in the various courts, from the Supreme Court all the way down to the trial courts. These are, men of integrity, men and women of integrity, probity, and then worthy men and women with high sense of independence, and then they know exactly yung kanilang gagawin sa justice system natin, sa mga courts. I think, yung mga lahat na yan ng mga reforms that Supreme Court has been trying and has been implementing, ay mapapatupad ng maayos if you have the right men and women in the justice system. So, challenge yan sa appointing authority, the office of the president. They should be conscious about picking or choosing the right men and women sa justice system, and dapat devoid of any political considerations.
But
yes,
do you suggest or do you think, ma'am, na parang instead from JBC, di ba, magbibigay yung JBC ng list, tapos ibibigay sa president and then the president will appoint. But do you suggest or do you think na it's time na from the JBC, ilagay natin yung appointing powers sa Commission on Appointments instead? Kasi parang nagiging personal. Yes.
Yeah.
Parang nagiging personal
kasi.
Open to that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hindi ko pa masyadong, I'm not really very open yet to that.
Okay.
Although I recognize the merits of that proposal.
Okay.
But ang position ko dyan has been vacillating. Hindi pa ako I cannot come up with a definitive stand on that at this point.
Okay.
Yes.
Punta naman tayo, tapos na tayo sa no? What I like about sharing ni former Senator Laila de Lima, handang-handa po sila na tulungan ang mga iba't ibang sektor, no? At nakikita natin handa at talagang may puso na ipaglaban ang mga bills na ito kung sakali man na sila'y manalo. Punta naman tayo, ma'am. Can you give us a picture of your campaign routine, perhaps, like from kung anong oras ka gumigising until natutulog kayo, no? And then, kumusta po ang perception sa inyo ng ating mga kababayan? Kung alam ko na iikot nyo na halos kabuuan ng ating sa bansa, no? Kumusta po yung perception nila sa inyo at ano pong nakikita ninyong talagang problemang kailangan solusyonan from the ground?
Okay, Franz, thank you for that question. Franz, I've been very, very busy. Even before the start of the official campaign period, umiikot na pati kasi ako. Umiikot na rin kami. Just promoting awareness about ML. Kasi ML is a new party list. Okay. So, even before na-accredit yung ML party list ng COMELEC, nagsimula na po akong umikot upon advice of the late Congressman Edsel Lagman. Ang sabi kasi, at first, were trying to convince me to run for the Senate. But I said, no, hindi po ako ready. And then sabi niya ni Congressman Edsel Lagman, he told me, whether or not you're running for any position, my advice to you is go around the country and tell your story directly to the people. Okay. Ganun po ang ginagawa ko. I've been going around even before the official campaign period, lalo na sa mga universities and colleges. Kinikwento ko kung ano nangyari sa akin. Kinikwento ko kung ano yung buhay ko inside detention. So ngayon, although nasasanay na ako sa pag-iikot, napapagod. Siyempre ako, mukhang kasi nga for almost 7 years, ay nandun lang ako, tahimik lang ang buhay ko doon sa custodial center. Now, we've been to many places already, although our party list cannot possibly go to the country. Lahat, hindi namin pwede o hindi namin kaya puntahan yung buong Pilipinas. Kasi nga po first, we have that kind of resources. And then oras, yung 90-day period for a nationwide campaign because party list like senatorial, as you know, is also nationwide.
Okay.
So, pumipili lang po kami ng mga lugar. We identify areas na kung sa tingin namin, pwede kami makakuha ng boto because alam mo, France, di ba, meron din mga regional party list, mga local party list. So, kung sa mga areas na wala pa o kaya walang malakas na party list, we try to go there. And even doon sa meron ng party list, kung sa tingin namin pwede pa kami na makakuha ng boto kahit konti lang,
so strategic about it.
Natin.
You just have to be strategic about it kasi hindi naman talaga mapupuntahan lahat. And that's very good. That's very good to know. That's very good to know.
The reception, Francis, maganda naman po ang reception. Lalo na, people would approach me and they would say, natutuwa sila na nakalaya na ako. And some, especially older women, ay umiiyak po sila kapag ginayakap nila ako. Nagdasal po kami nagdasal, nalungkot po kami sa ginawa sa inyo. And even, meron din ilan-ilan, Franz, na nag-approach sa akin and nag-apologize. Ang sabi, ma'am, pasensya na, noon po, naniwala po kami doon sa mga inakusa sa'yo. DDS po kami. And then so they would ask for my they would ask for apology and umiiyak pa nga yung iba. And then I said, hindi naman po kasalanan. Sabi ko gano'n, I can't blame you kung bakit naniwala kayo kasi sa tindi nga noong propaganda sa akin. So far so good, Franz. And nakakapagod, but it's so ang feeling. Yes.
Okay. Just very briefly na lang, I want to ask your opinion or your stance about the current political issues. Just very briefly, I just want to know your opinion about this. The West Philippine Sea, ma'am. I mean, paulit-ulit na to. What should we do? Should we refile another motion to the DFA to solve this? I mean, the Chinese has been very aggressive to us, despite anything na sa diplomasya. I mean, what do you have in mind?
First tama yung ginagawa ng gobyerno natin, yung transparency policy. Meaning, every time may mga harassment, may mga ginagawa yung China sa West Philippine Sea, we announce it to the world. Para alam talaga ng mundo na ginagawa yan sa atin ng China. And in fact, makikita natin na maraming bansa ang talagang sympathize sa atin, na talagang they're also hitting or criticizing China's bullying sa atin sa West Philippine Sea. Now, I agree, I support yung posisyon ni Associate Justice, former Senior Associate Justice Tony Carpio. Now, we should file a new case with a proper international tribunal. Now, is it still the UNCLOS body or any other tribunal na with the correct jurisdiction over these issues? Kasi nanalo na tayo noon sa isang arbitration case doon sa Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. At sinabi na nga very clearly nung PCA, the Permanent Court of Arbitration, na tayo ang meron karapatan dyan sa West Philippine Sea kasi nasa exclusive economic zone natin. We have the exclusive right to use it, to exploit, to do activities there, including research. But hindi yan sa China. Alam nyo naman yung 9-dash line na theory yan ng yung position ng China na wala yan sa international law. It's an invented thing na wala. Talagang sa kanila lang yun, invento lang nila yan. And it's not supported by any principle of international law or by any treaty or international law. So kung dapat sinsunod-sunod na ngayon yung mga pang-aano sa atin ng China. And meron ng mga, we have this monster vessel that they have kung acts of harassment are continuous, kailangan the government must consider filing another proper case. Yes.
Next na po, I know na isa po kayo sa mga nag-file ng impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. I mean, I'm just curious, no? Election is about numbers. I mean, are you not afraid of, I mean, you can lose votes because of that. I mean, what do you have to say to that? Kasi national yung...
Yes. Let me clarify first that I'm not a complainant. I was designated as a spokesperson of the first group of impeachment complainants. Okay. So I'm the spokesperson because I agree with them. I share their views that indeed this vice president needs to be impeached, needs to account. And she has been impeached already by the House of Representatives. And now kailangan ay i-try siya ng Senate. Now, I agree na yung mga charges against her, yung mga articles of impeachment are serious and well-founded. Okay. So it's about upholding accountability. It's not just about VP Sara. It's about upholding yung ating saligang batas na malinaw doon na public office is a public trust. And therefore, public officials are held accountable at all times. And since may mga ginawa na hindi maganda, si VP Sara, lalo na yung kanyang misuse of the confidential and intelligence funds, lalo na yung sa kanyang very open and public na, na yung announcement niya na she contracted an assassin with instructions to kill yung very high officials, including the president. So these are very solid and serious accusations. Now, am I worried that it would affect my electoral chance? Ang attitude ko lagi, Franz, kasi, this is the right thing to do. Okay. I don't sacrifice my principles for the sake of convenience. For the sake of electoral votes. I know na meron na maganda naman ang chance po na makaupo ang aming party list kasi kung maintindihan lang talaga ng mga tao what we stand for, I think they would appreciate our party list. Now yung mga hindi boboto sa akin, necessarily sila yung mga pro Duterte. And I'm not expecting them to support me. Diba, fine kung meron po sa kanila na, if I would find it in their heart to also support me, then I would thank them. Pero ang ano talaga is the rest of the voters, and especially the kakamping base, because that is our natural base. The kakampings. Because dahil yung mga namin, mga advocacies, yun talaga ang mga advocacies din na mga kakamping, lalo na dun sa good and clean governance. So I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
Yes.
Last few questions na lang, ma'am, no? Palagi natin naririnig sa balita na parang the word is palaging nababastardize yung party list system dahil sino-sino na lang mga pamilya, mga pangalan na ginagamit nila upang maka-perpetuate pa further sa politics. Do you think, ma'am, na yung ginagawa ninyo to some extent ay katulad din ng mga ginagawa ng ibang pamilya? Dahil this, to me, no, you can correct me if I'm wrong, to my observation, itong ML ay pinaliit lang na version ng Liberal Party. What do you have to say to that? Na parang may nagsasabi na hindi kaya ginagawa din ninyo yung mga ginagawa ng iba. And what do you think, no, kung maupo kayo, ano yung top of mind na pwede natin gawin para hindi na maulit yung ganitong cycle?
Okay. You're correct in saying that the party system has been abused and bastardized all these years. Napakaganda po sana ng layunin ng ating saligang batas nung inintroduce yung party list system. It's supposed to be representation of the marginalized sectors. We are aware na talagang na-bastardize yan kasi may mga party list na mga extensions lang ng mga power-based na mga political dynasties. Meron mga party list namang nasa likod are big business, mga contractors. Now, ML is not any of them.
Okay.
ML, we consider ML as a genuine party list because precisely multi-sectoral representation. Ang ML, meron ho talagang mga miyembro na mga kasapi nung mga sectors na binanggit ko. Yung
Okay.
ML ay talagang working for the interest and welfare of the marginalized sectors. As I told you kanina, meron na nga po kaming legislative agenda, mga priority legislations for this first. Kung hindi kami seryoso sa party list, taho sana yan. Kasi I think may mga ilan-ilan dyan na gano'n, wala silang mga ganong mga plataforma. Now, the ML as just the what of the LP, well, the truth is, ML is the multi-sectoral arm or wing of the Liberal Party. And it's not, there's no violation of any provision in the law about that. A political party, a national political party, having a multi-sectoral arm. And precisely, France, kaya naisip ng LP na magkaroon ng ganitong multi-sectoral arm na eventually became a party list last year, ay para nga palapitin din yung partido sa mga marginalized sectors. Although ML and LP has separate entity, official standing or personality. Pero kasapi ng LP as a multi-sectoral arm. There's nothing wrong with that. Kaya, basta ba, yung pakay mo is really for the marginalized sectors, you have members from the sectors, it's fine. Now, kasi nga, hindi pa yung LP kasi, I think you know this, yung mga masyado nang dinimonize yung aming partido. Lalo na nung nakaraang administrasyon, kung ano-ano mga pinahalanan kami, ano daw kami, elitista. Now, through this party list, we hope to undo or reverse that false narrative about LP. So, ganun po yun. Thank you.
Last na lang po, no? You were quoted to have said, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong with this again, ma'am, no? You have quoted to have said in an interview, parang the context of that is, Duterte is parang, you choose Duterte over Marcos because President Bongbong Marcos is not showing authoritarian parang signs or mga what do you have to say to that, ma'am? Kasi yung mga bashers or mga trolls ng mga kabilang kampo or whatsoever, parang sinasabi nila na parang nagkaroon daw kayo ng change of heart na parang Marcos is parang sinasabi nila na by saying that parang kinakalimutan ninyo yung mga atraso na ginawa ng pamilya Marcos. What do you have to say to that, ma'am?
Okay, first let me clarify yung question. Yung sinasabi mo, I was quoted as saying na I'm now preferring Duterte over Marcos.
Parang you said na parang you choose Marcos over Duterte because Marcos didn't have or parang hindi siya nag-show ng authoritarian signs than Duterte. Well, yung sabi naman ng iba.
That is certainly. Yes. Go ahead.
Sabi naman ng iba na parang is this tantamount to saying na kakalimutan na natin yung mga ginawa ng pamilya nila?
Okay, first, I think there's a lot of mga misquotations from me. And I'm not surprised about it, no? Kasi talagang yun how it is, lalo na yung mga trolls and mga detractors ko, they would twist my words. I never said anything about that I now prefer Marcos over Duterte and then losing sight of yung mga naging kasalanan din nung sa Marcos Sr. dictatorship. Alam nyo, wala po akong pinipili dyan sa dalawa na yan. Kasi as part of the Liberal Party, which is to me the genuine opposition, kami po kasi, we take our stand, we take our position based on the issues.
Okay.
Depende po sa issues kung ano. So, kung yung issue ay halimbawa tumatama sa Duterte, kinakalaban si Duterte, then so be it. Kasi yun ang
Okay.
issue namin. Hindi
Okay.
naman yung nananadya na talagang mag-aano na sa Duterte. Ganun din
Okay.
for the Marcos. Kasi for example, syempre, sa Liberal Party, pagdating dun sa mga extrajudicial killings nung war on drugs na yan, ay talaga namang we have been condemning, we've been criticizing Mr. Duterte for that,
Okay.
because that is totally wrong. And that's why we are in full support of the ICC investigation. And then
Okay.
pagdating naman sa West Philippine Sea, mas kinakampihan namin yung naging posisyon or policy
President
ni
Marcos.
Marcos administration.
Mm.
Kasi yun ang tama. You know, yung veering away from the pro-China policy of the Duterte administration to this new policy of, rekindling friendships and having alliances with Western countries. Kasi nga, mas nagtumutugma yung mga posisyon natin sa kanila on human rights and also on democracy. Pero syempre dito sa issue ng budget, yung GAA, na ang daming problema sa budget, na may mga realignment, mga questionable na mga realignment, meron mga binawasan na mga budget, like for example, the 4-piece program. I'm particularly angry about it because I was the principal author of the 4-piece law. And then binawasan nila ng 50 billion yung budget ng 4-piece. So, criticize namin yung Marcos administration when it comes to that. So, issues-based.
Okay.
Kasi nga, hindi po dahil pro-Duterte or pro-Marcos or anti-Duterte or anti-Marcos. Although ako naman, you've been seeing me, you've been watching me as really consistent to be anti-Duterte.
Okay.
Because of yung mga hindi talaga katanggap-tanggap sa akin yung mga polisiya niya tungkol nga lalo na sa killings under the war on drugs. And of course, dahil sa kanyang persecution sa akin, baseless, malicious, political persecution. So, hindi po dahil doon. So I think nami-misquote lang o hindi lang o sinasadya lang nila na ganun ang sinasabi when it's not exactly yung stance ko.
Okay.
Thank you, Fran.
Bilang pagtatapos sa pag-uusap na ito, no? Bakit ang mamamayang liberal ang dapat na iboto ng sambayanang Pilipino? Dahil isa lang, no, sa party list, isang boto lang.
Yes.
Bakit ang mamamayang liberal ang dapat na iboto ng sambayanang Pilipino para sa party list ngayong 2025 elections?
Ang ML party list po ay tunay na party list. Ang ML party list ay may genuine representation of the marginalized sectors. Yung ML po, wala pong mga political dynasty sa likod namin, wala pong mga business sa likod namin. This is an initiative na talaga namang we are offering ourselves as the voice, yung malakas at matapang na boses para dun sa mga walang boses. Kasi we truly know, we believe na kailangan talaga ng boses ang mga marginalized sectors. Marami silang mga suliranin, marami silang mga adhikain, pero wala silang mga boses sa Kongreso. So, ML Party List, kaya po aming slogan is laylaban ang laylayan. Sa ML Party List, ang laylayan. So, iboto niyo po ang party list number sa balota, sa likod ng balota. Mga maka-Pilipino, pro-Filipino, makatao, maka-Diyos. Maraming salamat.
Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of Politics and Beyond. Stay connected by following our official social media pages for the latest updates. I'm your host, Franz Merida, and I can't wait to dive into our next conversation here on Politics and Beyond.